Having some technical difficulty here, folks, so bear with me.
My grandpa taught me how to live off the land, and his taught him to be a businessman. He used to send me pictures of the Broadway nights, and I'd send him some homemade wine. But he was killed by a man with a switchblade knife. For $43, my friend lost his life. I'd love to spit some beach nut in that dude's eyes and shoot him with my old 45, cause a country boy can survive. Country folks can survive. Cause you can't stop us out and you can't make us run, cause we're them old boys raised on shotgun.
Hope everybody's doing good. Gonna be a little odd tonight, folks.
We say, man, and you ain't in the South, don't give a damn. We're from North California and South Alabama and little towns all around this land. We can skin a buck,
There we go.
run a truck line, and a country
There we
boy
go.
can survive. Country folks can survive. Country boy can survive. Country folks can survive.
Not getting her. Huh. Hang with me, folks. Trying to figure out how to get our other 2 pages up. Hope everybody's having a great night. Never fails. Get some stupid, stinking technical difficulties going on here. Online and online. We got 2 and we got 2. So let's see where we're at. And we're up and running. Let's see what we've got. And let's see if we've got everything we need to have. Let's kick this up. And it looks like we're live here. And we have no YouTube for whatever reason. That is odd. So just bear with me a minute, you guys. Got Ezekiel's Army, Infidel Coffee Hour live. Let's go back, pull her up. Never fails. There's always something. And let's see. And here we go. And we're up. Good. Geez, that was simple. Not really. Hey everybody, hope you're all having a good night. I'm not going to be able to interact on such a personal level because my eyes aren't that good and I've got the phone a ways back. We're going to go over tonight some bug out bag scenarios, your different options on bags, different types of preparation for emergency situations. And so if I don't interact on a personal level like I typically do, it's because I can't read the screen. And so everybody that's here, I'm glad to have you. I'll check back later. Hi Lori, glad you're here. I can see this up here. Let's see what we've got here. And we have everybody is up and running. Geez, that was kind of a weird, my Restream program kept booting me off. That's the first time that's ever happened. So can everybody hear me okay? If you can, give me a thumbs up. Just want to make sure because I've got audio and everything so far away. I've got cameras spread all over the room. One over here, a couple over here, one up there. So we're just going to see if we can make this work. I appreciate all of you being here. Rachel, glad you're here. Edwin, Rob, Corey. See who else we got. Hi, Carrie. Brother Rob Bennett. Excellent. Well, good. We're up and running. No harm, no foul, I guess. So if everybody can hear me okay, give me a thumbs up. I see some thumbs ups over there. Like I said, it's going to be a little bit different. I'm not sure how it's going to work out, but we're going to give it a whirl and see what we got. I'm going to be moving all over the place tonight, so it's going to be a very dynamic live feed. I kind of wanted to break it up a little bit. I'm getting tired of the same old, so I thought I'd try something a little different and see how it works out. I don't know how many people saw that. I made a graph today of just exactly what a dollar bill is worth. You see that red spot right there, that little red check right in the middle of it? That's exactly what your dollar bill is worth. If a dollar bill was to shrink down to the size of its actual value, this is what you would have. That red spot right there. That's exactly what you would have. Yep. Little red square, that's what's left of your dollar. So if they were to actually size the dollar for its actual value each time it depreciated, that's what you'd have left. That little red square in the middle there. That's pathetic. I wanted to get that in there. I thought that was kind of fun. I was bored today, so I thought I'd try something like that. Anyway, we're going to go over, like I said, we're going to go over some different odds and ends. There's all sorts of different bags, you guys. I'll get in here so you can at least see me for part of this. There's all different types of bags. We've got get home bags, we've got bug out bags, we've got shit hits the fan bags, you've got a day bag, and what goes into these bags, folks, is specific to you and you alone. Some of the components in these bags are the same, and that runs fluid through all the bags, but a lot of it depends on where you live at, the time of year it is, and these are living, breathing units, folks, and they need to be tended to regularly. So, as I said, a lot of it has to do with the topography you live in, the climate, the time of year it might be, the season, and the duration of time needed, and how long you expect this emergency or bug out situation to last. These are all very important components when you start putting one of these bags, one or more of these bags together. You know, you always have to ask yourself as you build a bag, what is the bag's intended purpose? Because there's an enormous amount of variables here. And as we go through this, remember one thing, folks, that you are the first line of defense. You are the first line of preparation. Your mental skills and abilities, your talents, things that you're capable of, and of course your physical attributes are extremely important when it comes to survival. You can build any kind of bag you want, but if you're incapable of carrying that bag for an extended period of time, and if you're incapable of using the things that you put into these bags, then it's all kind of pointless. So this is just a full circle preparation conversation, and we're just going to talk out loud. And I love people's input. I did one of these on YouTube back 3 years ago, and that was with my Blackhawk tactical bag, and so I've changed things up quite a bit since then, and a lot of that was based on the input that I received from people from all over the world. I think we got about 25,000 views on that particular video. And like I said, these are people from all over the world, all walks of life, all different varied degrees of preparation and skill sets. And so you can glean an enormous amount of information from these people. And as I said, one thing is for sure, this is my bug out bag. The one you build is your bug out bag, and the two are probably going to be a lot different. It's obviously different for women than it is for men. And from person to person, climate to climate, and need to need. And so there's a lot of variables here. But I want to go over just a couple of different types of bags real quick. We can look at our EDCs. Now, there's a lot of things that are considered EDCs, and EDC stands for everyday carry. These are the things that you should typically carry every day on your person and or in your vehicle. These could be everything. For instance, I carry communications on me. I carry a weapon on me at all times. Hopefully all of you can see that. Let me kick this other camera down so we can make sure everybody's getting a view. So I carry a weapon on me. I carry 2 extra magazines in here. This is a Glock 17. It carries 17 in the weapon, and I carry 16 rounds in each one of these magazines. I also carry a knife right here. I have this with me every day. And I have communications right here, as you can see. We have a radio right here, and these are part of my everyday carry, but this changes a lot and could be any number of things, folks. Emergency things, another everyday carry, especially in a grid down situation, is a good knife. This is a full tang K-bar, and you could use this to split wood or chop trees down if you had to, but regardless, it's good for self-defense. I keep it on the opposing hand from my weapons hand in case I need to get this. But anyway, you can kind of get an idea. Everyday carry can be everything you need. There's necklaces, folks. I have a necklace here. On this necklace, it has a knife. It carries a small flashlight. I have a key on here that adjusts the front iron sights on my AR-15. I have a P38 can opener. These are just some of the types of things that you can carry on some of these chains. There's a multi-tool on here and various other odds and ends, but there's all sorts of things that qualify for an everyday carry, folks. And these are things, like I said, that you should have with you at all times, every day. You should every day have the means to protect yourself, an extended means to protect yourself, an unfailing source of communication. I don't trust the network as applies to cell phones, and so I always at all times have some level or form of backup communications with me. And so these are some of the external components that go along with your different types of bags, whether it's a get home bag, whether it's a day bag, regardless, whatever it is. And so these things come in all different shapes and sizes, folks. And bags are like people. There's so many different ones. You can get a get home bag, which would typically be something perhaps about this size. And this thing weighs out at about probably 27 pounds roughly. This particular one is a medical bag. I transitioned this to a medical bag because I've already got an EDC bag that I carry with me. Most of these components go on my body. The rest go in my truck. And then you have something like this, which would qualify for a day bag or an get home bag. It just depends on what you want to do. There's so many different types and sizes. And you can fit the necessities in here. We'll go over what I believe some of those necessities are that everybody should have on them. Okay, this one here is a medical bag. This has everything in here. This is what you would call a field trauma bag. There's everything in here you would need for just about any injury under the sun. The same applies to the green one I just held up. So there's all different types. We have IFACs, okay, Israeli first aid bags, personal. You fit a lot of different medical components in these things. You can carry these. They're velcroed, mollied, and so you can strap these in multiple different ways to yourself, or just carry this in your vehicle, in your console, or between the seats, whatever it is. And they come down as small as something even like this. This is a really nice IFAC, and there's everything you need in here to stop bullet wound, chest injuries, trauma, cuts, abrasions, miscellaneous boo-boo kits. And then you have bags of this size right here, which would be an ideal get home bag, okay, something to keep in your vehicle at all times. It's got a Woobie on here, which is a blanket. It has different types of cordage, knives, fire starting kits, and these are all, like I said, and you'll find as we go through these, it's got food in there, types of things like raisins, oatmeal, instant coffee, temporary shelters. Now these aren't high quality items, folks, but these are things that could get you over the hump and get you home safely if something happened when you're out away from home. And so these are the types of things we're going to discuss tonight. Our primary focus, people have bags they call all different things, okay? And so when I put together a bag, this right here, this particular bag is what I call an inch bag. I'm never coming home, because I don't believe, unless things got really, really bad, that I would ever bug out. Unless the house, a hurricane, tornado, whatever it was, came and destroyed the house, this is the bag I would go to. I have no intentions. Most of my supplies, most of the things that I have stockpiled are right here where I live. And so my want to leave here is going to be minimal. So if I have to bug out, it's going to be an I'm never coming home bag. And if you see me with this backpack on, you probably better get your bag on and shag ass right with me, because it means that things have gotten so bad that I'm abandoning ship. And as the bag is called inch bag, I am never coming home. I do not anticipate the ability to ever return home, okay? And so what I've put inside this bag is most of the necessities that I'm going to need to sustain life for an extended period of time. So Again, this bag right here weighs about 66 pounds with a weapon in it. It has ammunition, weapon, and as we go through this bag, you're going to see most of the components that I put in here. Now, folks, these are just suggestions, okay? None of this is set in stone. We all have our own physical capabilities. I'm 60 years old. I have to admit, I've let myself get out of shape over the last year. I'm not real sure how far I could hike with this. I assure you I could get as far as I needed to preserve life and limb with this bag. But chances are also that we may be getting inside our vehicles because that's part of our bug out plan. Hopefully, if things don't collapse too fast, or if we don't have an EMP, an electromagnetic pulse that disables our vehicles because they're so full of electronics that a nuclear weapon detonated miles up in our atmosphere, and Russia is playing with these types of weapons, I assure you. And depending on what goes on with Ukraine, the possibility of something like that becomes more and more possible with each passing day. And so we need to keep these things in mind. Anything is possible in this world today, folks, as we've seen. Nobody, I don't think, in my age bracket or near at one side or the other could have possibly imagined that this world could have fallen so far in such a short period of time. As a matter of fact, people my age, for the most part, can't believe what it is that we're actually seeing, and that these things that are taking place are actually even taking place at all. It's hard to fathom that humanity has become so dumbed down with so little effort, and in the face of truth and fact, these people can be convinced incessantly to believe the lie. So to think that some type of societal collapse or breakdown isn't possible, that's just absolute lunacy. Because not only is it possible, but it's becoming more and more likely with each and every passing day. And so things like this, folks, are the difference between living and dying, okay? One of the things, as we talk about bugging out, is that we never know what type of individuals we're going to come across. And so, as I said before, you are the first line of defense when it comes to preparation and bugging out, folks. And I'll tell you this factually, and there are a lot of individuals that have been in these situations that will attest to the same. If you look like a victim, you're probably going to be a victim. And so the way we carry ourselves, folks, whether we're looking up, looking around, being alert, carrying ourselves in a manner that looks as though we have the ability and the intent both to defend ourselves against any and all adversaries is imperative when it comes to talking about preparation and bugging out and societal collapses, because I assure you there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of individuals out there that are going to be victims, including those of us that are trained, that do carry ourselves in an aggressive manner. And now, when I say aggressive, I don't mean that we're out there acting as though we're looking for a fight, folks. There's a big difference between looking as though we're wanting a fight and looking as though we are prepared for a fight. There's a stark difference between those two, and you need to walk that line because your life, again, may depend on it. And so this particular bag here is a monstrosity. I switched out from a Black Hawk Tactical and went to this one. This one here, like I said, is called a Sky Crane. It's got 2,300 cubic inches of storage inside of it. Okay, and we're going to start at the top. Okay, we're going to start right up here. And you're going to have to forgive me because I'm going to try and put this kind of back together. I was going to go through this bag anyway and just make sure, because like I said, folks, these things are living, breathing units, and you need to be on top of these things. You can't just build one and throw it in your closet and never revisit it. That's not how it works. You need to continually upgrade, check different things. If you keep food in here, which I strongly recommend you do, if you do keep food in here, you're going to want to swap that out periodically. Some of this stuff, matter of fact, all of my food in here is vacuum sealed. But regardless, you still need to break those things open and rotate it out at least once a year, if not every 6 months, depending on what you keep in there. I have instant coffee in here, I have sugar, I have honey, oat oatmeal, raisins, different types of things that I believe could at least it sustain life till I get to a point or a place where I can set up some type of camp and a shelter, and then branch out from there and start looking for ways to procure food, water, and the means to cook and purify both. So anyway, in the back of this, we have an AR pistol. Okay, and as I said, with weapon and ammunition in this bag weighs 66 pounds, all things said and done. That does not include the outward components that I carry on my body, such as my knife and other things. Okay, AR pistols, this is just what I carry, folks. It isn't what I'm recommending you carry. When it comes to procuring food, 22 rifle would be just as good. A pellet gun would be just as good. But again, there you negate the ability for self-defense. I would use this weapon only for reasons of self-defense. I would look for other ways to procure food, whether it's through fishing, and we'll go through that in this bag, whether it was through fishing, trapping, whatever. And I have the means to do all of these things contained within this bag. And so I have the means for self-defense right there. The top of this bag, I have things, you want the things you're going to need that are most important, you're going to want to have readily available and accessible to you without having to dig through 10,000 things. And so right up top here, I have a tourniquet. Okay, it's a single-handed ratcheting tourniquet. I have a half a dozen different types of tourniquets. I strongly recommend, if you're going to get a tourniquet, try it out. Test yourself with it, see if you can put it on yourself and shut off your own blood supply in case you're injured and there's nobody else there to aid you in that endeavor. And so this is the one that I settled on to go on the top of my I'm Never Coming Home bag. Some other external components that we'll get out of the way, as I said, is a full tang knife. This one was given to me by a good friend. I've chopped trees down faster with this than you could a hatchet. And so these are some of the things that I keep in here. Speaking of hatchet, we also have right here, I have a sog hatchet. This could be used as a weapon as well. As you can see, this thing could be used for both wood and a weapon if need be, for self-defense. Okay. These are just some of the external components. Something else I keep on here, and something that is imperative that you have enormous amounts of, is cordage. Okay? You can get paracord, you can get all different types. I have all different types and sizes and diameters. I have these all cut into different lengths, depending on what I'm going to use it for. Okay? And of course, other hardware on here for use if I need to set up something else. If I need to pull lines tight, I have the ability to do that. So everything has dual purpose, folks. Okay? Getting inside of here, this is in the top section. We have a pair of gloves. These are leather gloves. I strongly recommend that you have a good, solid pair of gloves. These aren't necessarily for warmth as much as they are to prevent yourself from cutting yourself or being injured, burned, and other things. When I go out on my 5-day solo camping excursions along the river, it amazes me how often an individual can injure themselves just doing mundane everyday things. Chopping wood, hauling wood, getting splinters, cuts, bumps, bruises, burns, something in your eye. It's important that you keep things like this on hand. Okay. On top of that, we have things for warmth, and again, a lot of this has to do with, this is a balaclava. Okay. This is useful for multiple purposes. Number one, to keep your head warm, because 70% of your body heat escapes out the top of your head. So this balaclava works as that. It's also camouflage in case I'm stalking prey. In case I'm in a self-defense situation. This right here serves multiple purposes, and it's important that you have one of these. Whether it's black, whether it's camo, is irrelevant. Don't get bright colors. I don't recommend white unless it's winter. But like I said, don't go getting fluorescent orange or red or bright blue or any of those pretty colors. Okay, don't go getting pink camo. It's not going to fly. Here we have gloves that are actually made for warmth, okay? These go in the top again. These are things that need to be readily available, folks, okay? These are things that are important. You don't want to have to dig for these things when you need them, and so I keep these all in the top. I have change out of underwear in the top here. I have a change out of socks in the top. I have multiple pairs of socks. These are the type that whip the water away from your feet, okay? I use wool, and then I also use synthetic, double layered, and it's very important that you do that. Always remember, in a survival situation, folks, cotton kills, okay? That is a fact. Cotton kills. Something else that is extremely important as we go through this is a pair of safety goggles. If you get a stick in your eye, okay, or the wood in the fire pops and puts a hot ember in your eye, there's a number of reasons. These things are yellow. They increase your capability, your vision. During the day, it makes things seem brighter. Same goes at night. But a good pair of safety goggles that seal tight around your eyes, okay, not just safety glasses. You want something that's actually going to strap on your head because you're going to be active out there, okay? So a pair of safety goggles, extremely, extremely important, folks. Some of the other things I recommend that I keep close at hand, okay? As I said, socks. Keeping your feet dry is essential to keeping your body heat and retaining body heat. I keep lots of scarves in here, bandanas. These things have multiple uses. I keep a half a dozen or more in this top compartment. Bandanas are good for filtering. They're good for wrapping cuts. Multiple things. They're good for washing up. If you sat and wrote a list, you could probably come up with a list of 100 things, 100 reasons why to carry these. And again, I carry all different colors, sizes, shapes. Okay, very important that you have these. Something else that people need to think about in a grid down situation, I keep $100 in small bills inside this bag. There's 20s, 10s, 5s, and 1s in here, just in case I still have the capacity to conduct commerce in whatever scenario. Folks, I'm a huge stickler about redundancy. I want to have the ability to do a lot of different things in a lot of different ways. I don't believe one is none and two is one. That is what you have to keep in mind when you're putting together a bag and when you're talking about a survival situation. And so keeping the means to be able to conduct business monetarily, and on top of that, I also keep myself a roll of silver coins in here, okay? There's about $20 worth of silver quarters in here. Okay, figuring that a silver quarter right now is worth about $6, do the math. And so these are some of the things so that I can still conduct business if I have to. Whoever you run across, who knows, this may save your life. But it's good. Redundancy, folks, I can't stress that enough. Redundancy, redundancy, redundancy. That is key. And so that's the top compartment right there. Now if I can just get that back in. So we've looked at the means for self-defense. Let's go to some of these external components, and I think you can see this right down here. I've added these. This bag, like I said, has 2,300 cubic inches of capacity in it. But yet this thing breaks down into 3 separate bags all by themselves if you want to, by unzipping and unclipping this thing. But I've added some other components to this as well. We talked about fishing. This little can right here has everything I need in it to fish, including bug spray, because God knows the bugs, the little no-see-ums, and the mosquitoes around here. So I have a little can of bug spray. I've got fishing lures, fishing hooks, everything I would need. These little Altoid cans are fantastic for stuff like this, folks. These little tins work beautifully. So I have fishing hooks, fishing lures of all different types, sizes, shapes. Same goes for the hooks. Inside this tin right here, okay? So that's just something else that we need to keep in mind. Mosquito net. We've talked about mosquitoes. Folks, you're going to be under a lot of stress as it is already. Something like mosquitoes and bugs flying in your face nonstop is just more aggravation. Trust me, it's not going to take much to tip people over the edge. So when I say redundant, think ahead and plan. These are the types of things that will be the difference between misery and thriving. Okay, things like this, something so simple. I think you can get these things for like $3 or $4 on eBay or wherever it is you want to buy the things from. I say eBay because I despise Amazon anymore. So we've got a mosquito net, fishing lure. This right here. This is a emergency radio. It charges through solar, or you can sit here and wind it up. Okay, it has a radio on it. Okay, so you have the means to continue listening to what's going on in the world, because communication, folks, is imperative. That you have the ability to keep in touch with the world around you. And so something like this, I think this radio is like 15 bucks, okay? 15, $18. Of course, the price on all this stuff's probably gone up, so I hope you can see that. As I said, you can wind this up, it has solar, sit it out in the sun, and you've got yourself something where you can at least, even just indirectly, keep in touch with the world around you. I try and keep things in bags like this to just help protect it. It's important that you try and preserve these things. Here's something else that's handy, folks. Like I said, remember when I talked about redundancy, and I can't stress it enough. This is just a little box, okay? Everybody can see that. Ounces are pounds, so keep this in mind as you build these bug out bags, folks. But this right here has a compass. It's got a pen in it, an emergency whistle, a ferrocerium rod, a knife, a flashlight, a sharpener for your knives, and it all fits into this nice little unit. You can pick these things up on eBay. Like I said, you can get them on Amazon too if that's where you want to go. But this thing fits nicely in there, and again, ounces are pounds. But I don't build bug out bags, folks. I build a bag in case I'm never coming home, and that's exactly what this bag is. This is an inch bag, make no mistake about it, because I don't plan on running. But if all else fails, these are the types of things that are going to save your life. And so it is worth the investment. You look at all the shiny things that do absolutely nothing for you around your household, folks. Take the time, spend the money, and get these things, and get yourself in a situation where you can sustain life no matter what fricking happens. Increase your odds. So that's that compartment right there. And we're just on just a small little amount here so far, folks. This is just nothing so far. So let's go to this compartment, okay? This compartment right here, I hope you all can see that. Let me get back out of the way. This compartment right here is where I keep my AR-15 magazines. I've got 4 magazines with 30 rounds each in it for the .223 for the AR-15, and then I keep 3 magazines in here for my Glock Model 17 9mm. Okay, those hold 16 rounds each. These hold 30 rounds each. So I have an extended means, as I said, to continue to fight and sustain life if I have to. Use it for hunting, procuring food, whatever it is. Right here I have a knife on the outside of here. As I said, redundancy is critical. So the more means you have down here, folks. This is a bag of food. I'd say this thing probably weighs about, now, I'm going to say 3 pounds roughly. I have instant coffee, I have oatmeal, I have packaged Spam and different types of tuna fish in these packages. Here, I'll pull it out so you can see. Here's some albacore. You can see this. This stuff has a shelf life of like 6 years. And so as I said, as time goes on, you want to swap these things out periodically. I've got about, what do I got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those. You can get Spam in these nice little packages. And these things have a shelf life of, as I said, 5 years and up. So these are the types of things. I keep raisins in here, oatmeal, instant coffee, tea bag type instant coffee, Folgers. I buy these by the case, folks. Because God forbid I ever ran out of coffee. I would be a sad little man. Hot cocoa. These are the types of things. These are morale boosters, folks. A little bit of water, some hot water, and hot cocoa mix late at night when you're sitting around a fire and shit's gone south. These are the types of things that you want to think about. As you put a bug out bag together. Okay, now we're going to go up into these components. The nice thing about this bag is it has multiple ways of getting into it. I hope you all can see that okay. So you can get into this bag from the top. Okay, you can open this thing up and open it up from the top. Right here. But we're not going to do that. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to unclip this because it's got clips all along here. Okay. Unclip that, and then we're going to unzip this. And this bag opens completely up. And there you have it. Okay. So up here we have clothing, we have pants. Hopefully you can see all that, folks. I apologize if you can't. We have different types of camouflage pants, shirts. And no, there's no iron in here. More wool socks. Right here we have a cooking kit. Inside of that is a lighter. And inside of that is another fire kit, as you can see. Hope everybody can see that. And so we'll break into this real quick. I'll set this stuff over here. This is titanium. Okay, it's light and it will last a long time. But inside of this, I keep a fire kit. Okay, we have the mains right there. You can see that lit up and glowing. That starts a fire. Redundancy, folks. 100 different ways to do everything. This here is char cloth. Okay. This here is dryer lint. Inside of this bag, I like these Crown Royal bags. They work out nicely. We have cotton balls dipped in Vaseline, which start with just one spark. Okay. We have steel wool. We have gunpowder for my old bullets, my old ammunition that's outdated. I take the bullet out of the casing and I dump the gunpowder into here. Another good way, because who knows what situation you're going to be in. Here's some more gunpowder. This is full of gunpowder right here. One of the quickest ways I know to start a fire, because that's what you're after, folks. Here we have a 9-volt battery which will start a fire with steel wool in a split second. Okay. And then here I have the capacity to make char cloth. This is just a small metal tin with a hole in the top of it. Can you see that? And you put denim or blue jean inside here, any cotton cloth, and you sit that in the fire. It won't catch fire, and what you've got when you're done is char cloth. It is one of the best things to start fires with right there. So having the ability to do all of these things in multiple ways, folks, again, like I said, is absolutely imperative. One of the other things I try and emphasize is try and pack these things so stuff don't roll around and make lots of noise. Okay, very important. Very important. You don't want to be making a lot of noise when you're hiking through the woods. When you put these packs together, pack them tight so that things aren't rattling around. Noise and smell will give you away. Light will give you away at night. You need to be conscious of these things as you put these bags together. So there's that. As I said, lots of shirts. Being able to change your clothes, folks, okay? Things like warm socks. I cannot emphasize enough about the importance of having dry socks to continually change. And I'm sorry if I keep forgetting you guys over here. These cameras are set at 2 different levels, and I hope you guys are still seeing this stuff. But keeping warm socks. Hats. We live in a cold weather climate here. Having camouflage, warm, military grade socks is very important. And hats. All of these things are important. So we'll put that right down there. Now we have a secondary compartment inside of here too, folks. This is the beauty of this bag. And inside of here, down in the bottom, another Crown Royal bag. All these things, just try and stay organized. Here's one of those towels. This thing dries out in a matter of minutes, and it's super, super absorbent. These things are fantastic, and I strongly recommend you get one. But inside of this bag right here is all of my hygiene. Fingernail clippers, Q-tips, toothpaste, body soap, mouthwash, and I keep this in here. Again, this stuff's obviously going to run out, folks. Of that I have no doubt. But we have to have the means to procure more. One of the things that a lot of people do is they go out ahead of time if they have any idea where it is that they're going to bug out to, because you don't want to just shoot from the hip here, folks. So when it comes time to bug out, you don't want to just take off randomly and wander out through the woods, okay? That may sound romantic, but it's bullshit. You need to have a place that you anticipate heading to, a place that you know that you can protect, okay, that you can safeguard, typically back yourself up against a river for multiple reasons. For self-defense purposes, number one, the ability for hygiene, the ability to procure water that you can sanitize and utilize. So you need to have a bug out place to go. It is important. And so there's the hygiene. Another thing that I strongly recommend that everybody have in their bug out bag. This here is a medical kit. Can you perform surgery out of it? Absolutely not, you can't. But it has everything in there to help get you over the hump. Okay, we have a tourniquet, obviously. We've got rid of tick. We know that ticks have been horrible up here, so we have rid of tick. We have icy hot patches, okay. These things, again, ounces or pounds. We have different types of vitamins and medications. We have magnesium, osteomatrix, Vitalia. So here is a bottle of different types of vitamins. Because when stress hits, folks, let me tell you, your health is going to deplete, and it's going to deplete fast. And so everything you can do to make your life comfortable for that first 10, 15, 20, 30 days, you need to do, and that's what this bag is until you get yourself set up. Then over here we have both prescription and over-the-counter pain relievers. We have tweezers. We have different types of medical picks and stuff in case you need to get out slivers, whatever it is, okay? Different types of dental picks. We have face masks in here. Ooh, taboo word. We have potable water, potable water additive to add to your water in case you don't have time to sit and boil it. Okay, same thing with here. There's enough in here to do thousands of gallons of water. I've got different types of medical supplies. I have all different types of band-aids. Most of the band-aids I try and buy are antibacterial. They have medication embedded right into them. That's important because sometimes you may not have the time. We've got Burt's Bees hand salve. We have eye drops. Very important. Another flashlight. Okay, flashlights. I've got flashlights in just about every compartment. And this is another reason why you need to get into your bug out bags, folks, your inch bags, because batteries, you need to replace batteries in these. You should replace batteries in these every 6 months, period. Q-tips, believe it or not, I've got one of the things I use for blood stop is cayenne pepper. I keep these in all of my bags. Cayenne pepper will coagulate blood almost immediately on contact. It will also stave off a heart attack. You put a little bit of this, about a half a tablespoon in 6 ounces of water and drink it, and you can stave off a heart attack and stop it almost dead in its tracks, no pun intended. So having cayenne pepper, non-radiated cayenne pepper, is really, really important, folks. I vacuum seal this and I put it in every one of my medical packs. It's a good blood stop, and it's also good for heart attacks and things of that nature. Have triple antibiotic ointment, another lighter, Carmex lip balm, means to drill if I have to. I have gloves. I have liquid skin called New Skin. I have super glue in here. Both of these will clean up cuts, stop your bleeding. Something else that I have in here, very important, is Hydrolyte. This is for people that get dehydrated. You can put one of these into some water and drink it. It replaces your electrolytes. That's exactly what it's made for. I also keep extra pairs of tweezers and things like that inside this medical kit. And this goes inside my inch bag, folks. This is in my I'm Never Coming Home bag. This is not a medical bag. So that's just another element of an inch bag. I've got a couple blankets in here, along with numerous other components that go in here, and we'll leave that at that. I'm going to spin this around to the side. We're going to open up this component. This right here is another warm winter military grade hat to wear, because as I said, we live in a very cold climate. 7 months out of the year we have unruly weather. It's imperative that you're able to survive this. Your clothing is your first line of shelter, folks, and we'll do a live feed sometime. I'll do a video on tents and different types of shelters and the ability to transport these things reasonably, but these are just some of the things. A camouflage poncho. This is a good one. This is quality, water resistant, camouflage as well. Inside of here I have a 12-foot by 16-foot camouflage tarp. See, it's amazing what you can get in these bags, folks. Okay, and so that's just in one compartment on the other side. Some other components I have over here, again, are knives. You have to have redundancy, folks. I keep saying this. Here's another knife that I have. This thing is actually a scalpel. If you look at that, it's got changeable blades. This thing is literally a scalpel, and you may need that for God knows what. I also keep a skinning knife over here on the side of this bag. Just another component. Now we're going to flip it around this side. I keep communications on me, as I said, secondary. This is a Baofeng UV50 right here, UV53. These things are fantastic. They will reach, with this Nagoya aftermarket antenna, they will reach 3 miles through obstruction, folks. I've seen no other radio. It also has ham radio capacity. But this thing as a walkie-talkie is one of the best I have ever seen, and I strongly, strongly recommend that you get these, especially with this Nagoya aftermarket antenna.
Channel mode.
You can program in your own custom settings if you want, and specifically talk on whatever frequency you want, or you can just go with the standard channels. Either way, strongly recommend that you get one of these for communications. On this side, I have an electronics charger, okay? For charging, whether it's your phone, whether it's charging a radio. I have all the different types of adapters and the ability, but this right here will charge numerous things, and it holds an enormous amount of. The last time I charged this thing was probably a year ago, and it's still, as you can see, at 100% charge capacity. And the last time I charged this, as I said, was probably a year ago, for sure. Excellent thing. I've got all the different adapters in here for charging all different types of components. Keep those right in there with it. Let's go inside of here. Here again is more of my cooking components. These are things you use all the time. I've got a little scour pad in on the top. As I said, keep things from rattling around, so pack these things intelligently. This again is made out of titanium, and once again, this is an alcohol stove, but it can also be used with sticks or debris from out of the forest. This is the alcohol container right here. I keep this full. It does not leak. You light this up, stick it inside, and cook yourself some food. It's going to be fun packing this all back up. Okay, this right here, spoon, fork, comes apart. It's also got a knife on each one. These are the types of things you're going to need this stuff, folks. These are the types of things you got to invest in. Again, we've got more insulated clothing, camouflage, everything I put in here. So I've got thermals in here. Okay. Being able to stay warm is imperative, and then these are high quality camouflage insulated pants to wear out. All of this stuff fits in this bag, folks. 66 pounds with weapons and all. And guess what else I have in here? You guessed it, more socks. And inside of these socks, I have another dry, warm shirt that I wrap up inside of this. And I've got several pair of these down in here. And this is going to get you over the edge, folks. This is going to allow you, whether it's a tornado, it doesn't matter. Whatever emergency happens, something else I keep inside. Foot warmers. I buy these, same thing. I buy these by the case, folks. And so this is just a small glimpse into what we can keep inside of a bag of this nature. I have another 3 or 4 changes of clothing in here, different types of slacks, pants, shirts, blankets. Let's see if we've got anything else down low. I don't think, well, we probably do. But these all separate and come apart. We've got over here for my communications. I've got headgear for touch talk so that I can communicate silently. This is an earpiece that goes along with my Baofeng radio. I also have a small cutting kit, knife set with a flashlight on it. Again, you got to keep the batteries changed in these things. I've got in here fishing line. I keep wire in here for making snares. And if you don't know how to make snares, there are thousands of YouTube videos, folks. on ways to make snares. It's an incredibly important, it's no less important than knowing how to tie all the different types of knots. These are the types of things when I talk about you're the first line of defense and preparedness. Knowledge is everything, folks. The ability to make snares, the ability to make traps, procure food is all important. There's another little tin. This is filled with char cloth for building another fire. Like I said, redundancy, folks. You just can't have too many ways to do any one thing. Okay? The ability to make fire. Life straw. This thing will filter about 10,000 gallons. I think they measure it in liters. I think it's 10,000 liters. This thing will filter 10,000 liters. You can take this and drink right straight out of a puddle of water. Okay? Stick that right down in the puddle, just like that, and drink out of this end. 10,000 liters is what you can do with these. Very important. Straw. As I said, there's so many different little compartments in these things, folks. Fill it, because your life may depend on it. So that's a brief rundown on this bag. We don't need to empty the rest of it out because you can see kind of where we're going with this, folks. We have to keep in mind some other external components that go along with bug out bags. Linsetic compass. Maps are extremely important. Having a compass and knowing how to use this compass is extremely important as well, folks. Okay, whether it's this type or a dozen other types, there's all sorts of compasses out there. Get the one you're most comfortable with and the one you can use most proficiently. Compasses are extremely, extremely important. Another important external component to have, binoculars. Very important that you have these things. This again is an external component. I would not carry this in my bag. I would carry this on my person. This thing has a belt loop. Most of these external components would go on my belt. So, as I said, folks, use your imagination. There's 1,000 different ways to build an inch bag, a bug out bag. Call it whatever you want. Another important thing, I keep flashlights and everything, but the other important thing that you need to have is a headlamp. Headlamps are important, as you can see, because you've got to do hands-free. Okay, you don't need to be holding a flashlight while you're trying to either work on something medically or cooking food or whatever it is. You've got this. I prefer the ones that have 3 different types of settings. You can also get them with red lights. I've got a dozen or more of these different types of headlamps. But this is important to be hands-free and still be able to have light, folks. Something else that I think is important is putting together multiple fire kits. Have one of these for each person in your family. This one's not set up to carry in a backpack. This one's just set up in case I bug out in my vehicle. This one would go in my vehicle and stay there. It's got pencil shavings, pencil sharpener, battery operated, propane filled. I've got tampons in here, multiple uses, okay? Ferrocerium rod, cotton balls and Vaseline, dryer lint, 9-volt battery, steel wool, you name it. It's in here to start a fire with, in ample amounts. These are important to build. You can build these things. Just find any old tin box and build these things, folks, and have them. Keep them in your vehicle. Keep it in one of your get-home bags. Keep it in whatever you want, but these things are important. Something else that's awesome in an external component is a good machete. This one right here is a Schrade. I don't give a shit what brand you buy, but you're going to need a good machete for multiple reasons. Self-defense, building shelter, clearing paths as you walk through the swamp or whatever it is you do. These are the types of things that you need to think about, folks. I run these scenarios through my head constantly. What it is I'm going to need, what it is I'm going to want. It's just like weapons and the way you set up weapons, folks. Okay, if you're going to carry a weapon, I have that one. It's not readily available to me. I would have to rely. But just looking at the different types of ways to carry a weapon. This one in particular is a 2-point harness. Cinches up, tight to your body, and carries nicely, as you can see. Okay, still allows me to work my handgun, carries tight to my body, all right, in tight so it's not rattling all over the place. When I run, if I move, I cinch this thing up tight and it's hugged right straight to me. These are the types of things that you want to be thinking about if you've got to go mobile. Depending on what type of sights you have on your weapon, okay, if you've got something that depends on electronics, I strongly recommend that you invest in an enormous amount of batteries that power this particular type of sight. Okay, this is a red dot. I buy these batteries by the hundreds because I don't ever want to be caught and this be useless. But if you don't want to go that way, these weapons have all been unloaded, by the way, folks. We also have iron sights, regular open sights. This particular one has a light on it. As you can see, it's debilitating. But this way I don't have to depend on electronics and still be able to have a functioning weapon. The type of weapon you use, as I said before, is irrelevant. Whether it's a 22, a pellet gun, it depends on what you think you're going to encounter. It could be a shotgun. 22s are really good and pellet guns are the best for procuring food because they don't make any noise and it doesn't give away your location. Okay, you shoot a rifle a couple of times and somebody's going to know exactly where you're at. So as I said, using high-powered rifles for anything other than self-defense really is kind of defeatism. You can put yourself in a very precarious position because if you're running for your life, chances are good there are going to be hundreds, if not thousands, of other individuals doing the exact same thing, which is why I said if you choose a bug out location, whether you have a cottage someplace, whatever it is, or whether you're just going out into the woods and building yourself a shelter or setting up a tent, whatever it is, think strategically, folks. Think, find a location, back yourself up against something that is impassable, whether it's a hard swamp, whether it is a ridge, whether it is a river, whatever it is, that takes 180 degrees off the perimeter that you have to safeguard yourself against from intruders, marauders, or anybody else that would mean you ill harm. So these are the types of things that you need to think about, folks. These components are just a few. I've got several other bags that are set up differently. Again, every bag has its own purpose, whether it's because you're driving to work and you work 5 or 6 miles from home, and perhaps that bag, you get an EMP or something happens and you can't drive your vehicle back home. You've got 5 to 6 miles to cover, whether it's in winter, summer, whatever it is. And these are the things you need to think about when I talk about revisiting your bag with each season or keeping multiple bags. But if you're at work and something happens, the grid collapses, some type of catastrophe happens, the roads are impassable, an EMP, your vehicle won't start, breaks down, and you need to cover 5 or 6 miles to get yourself back home. Make sure when you build a bag, whether it's this size or whatever size it is, that it has everything in it that's going to get you safely that 5 or 6 miles, whether that's a pistol, ammunition, a knife, the ability to start fire, the ability to filter water, the ability to either build some type of temporary makeshift shelter or provide yourself with some type of temporary makeshift shelter. Think about the reasons why you're building a bag, and there's nothing wrong with having multiple bags for multiple applications, folks. A medical bag. A medical bag should be set up in everybody's vehicle. You never know when you're going to come across an emergency, and learn how to use these things. Traction splints and things of that nature. IV bags, being able to put an IV in somebody if you need to. Tourniquets, know how to use them. Bandages, compression bandages, sutures, staplers for suturing. All of these different things, folks, somebody's life, if not your own, may depend on your resourcefulness and your ability, your knowledge, and your capacity to gather together these things in case of an emergency. Because God knows disasters. I always say life and death hinges on seconds and inches, folks. And something like this, something like an inch bag, a bug out bag, a get home bag, a day bag, these things could be the difference between life and death. Let me see. I don't think there's anything else. Couple other little things. Some of these things are very expensive, folks. Helmets. This has infrared and night vision on it. This is not something that you just walk out and buy at your local corner store. But these are the type of things. I have weapons that have infrared on them. I have weapons that have thermal on them. And knowing how to use these things and when to use these things. Bad guys come out at night, folks, so it's extremely important that we have things of this nature if we think we're going to be some of the frontline individuals. And on top of that, we talk about self-defense, we talk about weapons, and as I said in the beginning, you are the first line of defense. You are the first line of preparation. Owning a weapon and knowing how to use it, folks, are two completely different things. Being proficient with that weapon, being willing to use it when the time comes. Also, if you sit there and hem and haw about whether or not you should or should not, chances are you're going to be the recipient of unaccosted violence. And so training, folks, I know it's cold out right now. Who knows what type of environment we'll find ourselves in if we have to bug out. Some of the other things we've got, you take something up here like my plate carrier. It has a knife. I've got body camera on it. I've got a secondary camera source. It has GPS, radio communications, 9mm magazines, pepper spray for less lethal force. I also own a pepper ball gun that I purchased. We played with that a little bit during our training this last summer. These are the types of things. Having the ability to utilize less lethal force sometimes is a viable option, folks. But thinking about these things, thinking that this world could turn, and chances are very good that it will. Having ample ammunition around is another thing. So when I was talking about choosing a bug out location, choosing that bug out location, what you can do is you can go and dig holes and bury stashes around there, okay? You can put a cache out there, whether it's long-term food storage, whether and bury this in Mylar and 5-gallon buckets, and bury these in a location that you believe you're going to bug out to, or bury it along the pathway to where you believe you're going to bug out to, whether you bury an inexpensive, expendable weapon, something that you can put in bags, wrap it up, bury it, food, ammunition, having an ammunition cache, having money cache, whatever it is. But if you know where you're going to bug out, and I strongly recommend that you find a place and have a plan. You should have a plan A, B, C, and D, folks. Okay, your first stand is obviously at home. If that fails, where are you going to go? To a friend's house, to a cabin, to a cottage, to state land, to private property? And if that's where you're going to go, have the means to sustain life. Have the ability to go there and make a shelter. Stash a tent, stash garbage bags. Having 30-gallon garbage bags around could constitute a shelter. At least it would get you to the next step where you could survive. And so these are my thoughts, folks. And like I said, put your comments in. I love input from people when it comes to survival. The number one thing is, folks, is to get out and do it. Get out and hike with your backpack. See how far it is you can go. Push yourself, because you never know when you're going to need it. Get out and utilize these talents. Start a fire without matches or a Bic lighter and see how easy it is or how difficult it is. Try doing the same thing in the wintertime. Try doing the same thing during a rainstorm. But push yourself, because you inevitably, in a societal collapse, folks, could find yourself in any one of these situations. And the level of confidence you possess at the onset of this is going to have an enormous effect on whether or not you survive. And having gone out and tested your abilities, pushed your limitations, and tested yourself, learning these skills is going to give you that much more confidence if and when that time comes, because who knows, your children, your grandchildren, your whoever it is, your spouse, a friend, who knows who it is that may be relying on you to sustain life in a societal collapse. We've talked about the monetary aspect. We've talked about the hot spots over there with Russia and the Ukraine. We see that China has buddied up with the Ukraine. That was a given that that was going to happen. We can probably expect that Turkey and Iran will probably join those ranks as well. Folks, we're dealing with ruthless individuals that have absolutely no respect for the leadership of this nation, and rightfully so, justifiably so. The leadership of this nation is nothing less than pathetic. I would feel better putting the well-being of myself and my loved ones in the hands of a band of Girl Scouts than I would these driveling imbeciles that apparently are or are not running this country. We know that Canada, we've seen what's happened with this truckers up there in Canada. We see the pushback that they're getting from the government. Folks, this is about the people. When is it, okay, an elected individual should represent all of the entities, all of the citizenry of a nation, a state, a county, whatever it is. An elected official is there to represent everybody fairly, always taking into consideration this goes along the lines of whatever constitutional document it is that we are to be using as a guide. Okay, and so when you see somebody like Trudeau or Joe Biden or Camel Toe Harris or any other elected official, folks, coupled with the lack of want to tell the truth on behalf of the media, when you see this, folks, things like this become glaringly obvious that these are potentially a necessity in the not too distant future for us. Okay, we've got truckers up there standing up for freedom, standing up for individual rights and individual sovereignty, and when you see a government fighting against that, we're living in perilous times, folks, because we are surrounded by a world of nations that are doing exactly that. They're rising up against the people. They are waging war against the people. And so there's never been a more important time, folks, than right now to be procuring things, food, weapons, ammunition, medical supplies, bug out bags, inch bags, get home bags, everyday carry. These things are necessities in our life today, folks. It used to be a time maybe 5 years ago, 10 years ago, where these were just things that, you know, whatever, I can do it or I can't do it. Folks, this very well, as I said before, could be the difference between life or death, between surviving and not surviving in the world we're living in today. Make no mistake about it, folks. Things could change in one heartbeat. It could go from life as it's always been, life as what is the new normal, to a world that we do not recognize, a world without rule of law, where all of our social graces have diminished and disappeared because people are starving, people cannot maintain housing, whatever it is. But we're seeing it becoming more and more apparent that this is the new normal, folks. And I don't see anybody coming to the rescue. There's no way this nation can survive till 2024 under these current conditions. I saw Derek had posted some things, shared some things, and I know it's alarming for everybody that there is this full-on global assault on weapons, trying to take away our Second Amendment rights. Folks, listen, I've said this many times. Everything we have, everything we are is symbolic. Okay? And it's strictly symbolic unless good people are willing to stand up and do the right thing. Void of that, we are filled with nothing but a world of nothing but meaningless symbolism. Our Constitution means something because there's people like us out there that are willing to stand up and fight and not yield and show our enemy no quarter. That is what it's coming to, folks. They're going to push us and they're going to push us. And remember, they are satisfied with small, tiny, seemingly insignificant, incremental victories. And they just keep chipping away and chipping away and chipping away. what they deem large capacity magazines, okay? I deem a standard size magazine. It's all a matter of interpretation, I guess. But the bottom line is this, folks, shall not be infringed. I don't know any other way to interpret that other than saying, don't fuck with my guns, okay? That is my God-given, unalienable right to possess these weapons for self-defense and numerous other things. It's not even a conversation. I will discuss it with nobody. And if I do get elected sheriff, I assure you, this Kalkaska sheriff will never allow any government entity to come in here and take away anybody's Second Amendment. We will fight for that, and we will fight for it to the last drop of blood. That's the way it should be. That's what makes America great. That's the difference between symbolism and reality, folks. So anyway, I hope you all learned something. We could have got a little bit more in depth. Plate carriers, body cameras, self-defense, multiple options for that, everyday carries, inch bags, bug out bags, medical bags, get home bags, day bags. What is it that you want to build? And there's no limit on how many you can have. You should have one for each member of your family. If you have children, you can build a small, tiny bag for them that they can carry and get them to practice with that. Go out hiking with that and get it to be something normal, not abnormal. It's just like me carrying a weapon every day. People look at that and think, oh my gosh, oh. But for me, it's just like putting on my underwear. It's what every American should do. These are our rights, and if we don't exercise these rights, folks, if we don't train, if we don't practice, if we don't utilize these things, it's all just going to atrophy and go away. Live your lives, folks. Live your lives free. Stand up for something. Fight for something. Run for public office. Get involved. Be vocal. Be bold in your stand. Right is might, folks. We're not going to back down. We're not going to give an inch. To the death. That's the way I see it. I appreciate all of you being here. I hope all of you learned something. God bless each and every one of you. I pray, as always, that our Heavenly Father does bless each and every one of you, your friends, your family, your homes, your communities, and most certainly this nation. I pray our Heavenly Father is with these truckers up there, fighting for everybody's rights up there in Canada. And I pray that our Heavenly Father sees fit to put these bureaucratic monsters in their place. Appreciate all of you being here. God bless each and every one of you. Have a great rest of your evening. Have a great work week. And I hope and pray I see you all back here. Folks, share these videos if you could too, please. Facebook and YouTube is choking me down. They do not like the message I'm sharing, and they continually choke me down. And yet you get some blabbermouth piece of bullshit that's just out there trying to sell t-shirts and products, okay? And they've got 500,000 followers. So be it, because they're full of shit. They've monetized their frickin' pages. I don't want nothing monetized. This is just a clean message, folks. This is for no other reason other than to educate my fellow patriotic Americans and perhaps enlighten others. That's the objective. So I ask all of you to do me a huge, huge favor, and that is to share these videos with everybody. Bring more people to these channels. Bring more people to these live feeds. And let's expand this community, folks, because for every person we educate, if each one of them go out and educate one more person, think about how that just continually quantifies itself, folks. And let's grow a community of individuals that are awake, alert, and know beyond any shadow of a doubt that they're not out there alone. There are thousands of us out here that are awake and see the world for exactly what it is. So share these videos. And God bless each and every one of you, and I hope to see you all back here next week. God bless all of you.